City, Michigan, Detroit Rock City.
So my name is Bruce Lack, and I'm here with my colleague Alejandro Cabero, and we are going to quickly go through the agenda. We're going to talk about how to manage your time and things you should be doing as a recruiter, how to save time, maximize your efforts. We're going to talk a little bit about planning and research before you do recruitment, and then kind of what to do in the field and how to network. Some other activities and follow-up that you do after your recruitment visits. We come from two different perspectives, so we want you to know that Michigan is pretty much seasonal employment. We do have some temporary employment, but we're very much primarily a seasonal employment, so crops and that happen for a few months of the year. Whereas Kansas is much more heavy on the temporary year-round employment, where you're having to get a temporary statement. So we'll be discussing how some of these things relate to us depending on what state we come from. So no matter what kind of area you work in, we should have something here for you. Given the large number of people in the format, we ask if you have any questions to put in the chat. We're going to try to address as many of those as we can. What we don't answer right now, we will pull out of the chat and send those answers to Jessica to get posted up with the presentation. So with that, we're going to move right into the planning and research portion. And I'd like to go ahead and get started in talking about collecting data. One of the things that we must find, no matter what state we live in or where we're at, is we need to find a migratory agricultural worker or a fisher, and that means that they're doing some sort of qualifying work at some sort of agribusiness. That's farms and fisheries, dairies, processing plants, packing houses, nurseries, and a huge variety of other different types of agribusinesses. Even forestry and beekeeping are some smaller type operations that we don't even think about sometimes. So what we want to do as recruiters before we get going and during our pre-recruitment phase is to really look at what types of agribusinesses are available in the areas that you recruit, whether it's statewide, in a region, or in a smaller school district or a county. Whatever size of the area you have, you want to fully explore that. And that might mean doing some internet research, which we'll talk about on the next slide. It means working, networking, looking at prior history of work that's been done in your area based on the CUEs and the data that's been collected by others before you. Or in some cases, if you're new and that data is not available to you, starting something and looking at all the different potential places where you might find a migratory agricultural worker, because that is going to lead you to migratory children. We also want to focus in on the H-2A program, which is the agricultural visa. Most folks that come on an H-2A program are going to be doing qualifying work, and they're going to be doing it usually for less than a year. H-2A folks don't bring their families in most cases. However, there are many youth under the age of 22 that are employed in H-2A work. So very easily you can find H-2A workers or farm label contractors, FLC, who employ people, because there is a handy dandy tool called Spotlight, and the link is right there. It's actually set up to take you to my state right now, and it displays all of the farms that or all of the H-2A job orders that are available in a certain area. You can click down and zoom in and zoom out and click on an area. It'll tell you what orders there are there, and you can actually see the job order itself by clicking view order. And you can see a lot of information: the number of workers, where the housing is going to be, where what type of work they're going to be doing, the dates, and so on and so forth. How many different units they have in the labor housing. There's a huge amount of information that's available to you. Simply removing Michigan and selecting your state, you would be able to see that information. But there are also other considerations that I'd like to look at when you're doing your data collection. I'd like to give way to Alejandro to discuss some other ideas.
Yeah, hi. Yes, we talk about refugee centers. I mean, here in the Midwest, with all the meat packing plants we have, the meat packing plants start hiring refugees probably in the earliest 2000 that speak several languages. I mean, the language that we call non-traditional languages, no Spanish, no English. So we have a community that speaks Somali, Burmese, Karen, I don't know, Kareni, Kenya, Waranda, Swahili, Nepali, Marshallese. I mean, more than 100 of languages spoken among our population. Uh, but it's not just that. Each community has their own set of cultural rules and community leaders, churches. So, so you may ask what that had to do with the time management, right? So just imagine driving 2 hours to visit a lead without an interpreter on mind or without the family to know you will visit them, or even worse, without knowing if it's okay for you or for the family to receive the visit after hours. So you're just about to waste at least the 4 hours of paid recruitment time on the trip and hundreds of dollars in recruitment efforts that is going to be ineffective. So if you are not well organized, and for instance, do not map the visit before starting the home visit, you will never achieve the accuracy and leave the area with just a small percentage of families interviewed. So organizing tools you need the organization tools before contacting the family, so you will save and save the program a lot of time and money, as well as you will demonstrate the family that we know and care about them, and we are equipped to offer our educational services tailored to the needs of their children. So besides that, it would reach a lot of stress for you, because when you are driving so many hours and you can find the family, it creates some kind of problems. And I think we all pass through this situation. So one of the other tools, the improve your time management, and you need to remember the time management is an executive skill. I mean, it's something that you can incorporate anytime. There's a lot of staff or people in my staff that say, you know what, I'm really bad in time management. So you are bad in time management because you don't have a consistency to create a habit, and you are not using the adequate tools. I mean, everybody can have or succeed in time management with all the tools and electronic tools we have. For instance, I'm using a calendar. So personally, and the whole team, we are using the Google Calendar because it's connected to our email account. We will use the Gmail set of tools. But most important, because I know myself. And Jenny know myself as well. She's over there. So while I live in my house, I can forget everything. I'm just a man. I mean, we can know where the kids are. So I need my wife to tell me where I left my kids. So I can lose my backpack, forget my brochures, posters. The only thing I will never forget is my smartphone. So my smartphone is my soul, and over there I have a folder with everything. I have they call Kansas MEP, and over there I have everything: the Google Calendar, my email, access to M6, Zoom, a Camcard, Dropbox, the Connect team that Alex was presenting, and I'm planning to work over here. The IDRC referral tool, anything. So that way I can have everything in one place. But specifically, I'm talking about the calendar. When I'm using the Google Calendar, I have in the calendar all the activities, my recruitment efforts, the paperwork, the contacts, the stuff I'm gonna do every day. And I recheck and modify constantly, because I mean, we know, I mean, our job is not an office job. We change our day-by-day stuff every second. So as my plans change, my team is knowing that I'm changing my plans, and I'm also have the Google calendar connected to me, so I can see where they are at the same time. But the most important, I realized that having this Google Calendar, I found patterns in the activities that repeat constantly every month or every year. So with those patterns, start creating a more effective action plan. For instance, I know the first week of August is centralized enrollment in a group of school districts. I know the H2A orders are pretty much similar every year, so I know when the crews are coming and where they're coming from, and when are the orientation dates on different meat packing plants or on recess on Topeka, and so on. So I can just organize and put those marks in my calendar, and that way I can be more effective on preparing my action plan or my recruitment plan. So even when everybody's saying, "Oh, our life is complicated," we can't have the same day every day because we need to change a lot of stuff. The main thing is we have some stuff that is not unstable, and those are activities and dates that remain pretty much similar each year. So at this moment, we have the ESL test where teachers collect demographic data to the new students coming to the school district. This is important. This is one of the most fundamental times for us to connect with the schools. We know what the summer schools dates are, so we need to add it to the calendar. What's the health and job fair coming for the summer and for the enrollment times on different counties and different funded projects. There's a lot of information you can add at the calendar if you are consistent. So just one more thing in speaking, because I realized we're talking about the enrollment times, is the home language survey, or what we call here in the presentation, the survey. Home language services are extremely important, but we must demystify it. At this time of the evolution, its accuracy has been challenged by several factors. The online registration, the remote learnings, even the little things like the registers are just speeding up the registration process by answering the questions for the families and having the easy way to continue, because they feel that it's not really important, the information we collect over there. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is still one of the most important procurement tools we have, but it's not enough. I mean, when families enroll their students, they are not comfortable sharing all the information. So for instance, why, I mean, at least here in the Midwest, why will that tell a perfect stranger at school that he's planning to work less than 12 months on the new job? What about if the lady in the school is the HR wife? So they don't know. So it's hard for them to disclose all the information, and maybe these home language services are not 100% accurate. For instance, how many families we lost because they move and enroll the kids, and after a week they just find a job that qualifies, and we don't know. So the job, the home language service say they're not working in agricultural activities, but one week later they should qualify. So in our specific situation as a recruiters, when we are going to receive the lead, if the family service applies and obtain a qualified agricultural jobs a week after the enrollment. So the action plan must reserve a portion of our time to continually visit our migrant contacts, and that should be constant. There's another thing we need to have a benchmark in our calendar. So the other thing is to try to use the electronic referral tool as well. I mean, we never, that I remember, have such a perfect referral tool help us receive leads from several community settings. That's many as you want. I mean, you can have presentations or lead from schools, after school programs, Head Starts, daycares, I don't know, community agencies, churches, refugee centers. I'm trying to remember the leads we receive. Migrant families, actually, they know of the program. They have the QR code, agribusinesses. So it's a lot of opportunities. And when we talk about collecting data, don't straight to the traditionals. So try to be innovative, try to think out of the box, and try to adapt to the new technology, because it's a lot of new ways to receive, to collect the data and to receive leads. And I'm trying to fix my headphone. I'm sorry, Bruce. Go to use while I'm working here.
Okay, so we talked about those agribusinesses and figuring out where they are, and that means that we're going to have to do some internet research to very effective method. There's a lot of sources of information, tons. One of the sources is Manta, which is a huge database of all types of businesses, including agriculture, that you can filter down to agriculture, then all kinds of subcategories and specific types of farms or agribusinesses. If you're a member of the IRC, you're very fortunate because they've done some data scraping and gathered a lot of that information. We've hired some professionals to do that, and it's been very, very effective and provided lots of farms to your states if you're a member of that consortium. Every different type of commodity has some sort of a website. There's a growers group, an association. There's a listing of different types of farms, strawberry farms, U-pick farms, Christmas tree farms. So if you're in a very seasonal type of state like I am, there are tons and tons of those. And I can show an example of one right here. There's localharvest.com or .org, I'm sorry, and it has farms from all different kinds of states. And these types of this type of research is building you up a list of places to go. We don't want to just be driving around looking for people working in fields, but we want to be a little more targeted and more focused. And we'll see in a minute how we use these, how taking this time to prepare and create these lists will save you time in the future. The other thing that you can look at is subsidies. Most farms receive some sort of subsidy from time to time, which means they'll be listed on the USDA subsidy list. And you can search that for a specific zip code. 66025 happens to be a Kansas City zip code for Eudora, Kansas. And it'll list from the greatest number of subsidies to the smallest, the name of the farm. It doesn't provide you address and phone number and contact information like some of these other sources do, but from there you can go on and find the next farm. And Alejandro, how are you coming along with the mic? Do you want to?
I think I'm doing okay. I switched to the.
Perfect. Well, do you want to take over from here?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, we come back to the presentation. We're gonna maybe talk a little bit about the what we call the MPI directory, which is the Food and Safety Inspection map. If you go to the website, which is posted on the presentation, you will have a copy. The MPI stands for Meat, Poultry, and Egg Products Inspection Directory, and it's a listing of establishments that produce meat, poultry, or egg products that are regulated by the FSIS, which is the Food Safety and Inspection Services from the USDA. This directory is wave to open. It takes a little bit because it's a lot of information. They have the mapping of all the meat processing plants in the United States that has been approved and that were inspected by the USDA. So we have over there information about the size, about the species slaughtered, about the production information, which is the most juicy part of this data because it has all the qualified activities at the plant. So you just go over there, you will know if the plant that is producing, if they are slaughtering, if they are packing. So everything is going to be over there, and you can easily download the information down to the map and tailor the information, choosing your state, choosing the livestock slaughter or the poultry slaughter. So you just can play a little bit with the map. You're going to have a lot of information. As soon as you get the information, you just download it on Excel and work from there. This is, this is a life-saving. Now we are gonna do a sweep on every 28, and we already download all the meatpacking plants near the border of Oklahoma. And we already contact them and we'll start visiting them. It was the only way for us to get in touch with the small meat plants that USD provided. So sometimes those little smalls, but they are having those workers from, let's see, National Beef with experience. They just moved, so they get those jobs, and those guys are over there for a limited time to get another jobs. So it's a lot of temporary workers over there, and we are just pretty much excited because there was some information we received from Creekstone and Arc City. The other point is the Section 8 housing. Bruce, as you see on the presentation, has a list of H2As and seasonal migrants, workers, housings, and migrant camps, everything in an excellent map. Here in Kansas City, we also have on H2As, but we are not really big in H2As because, I mean, most of the H2As that are coming to the state are old people, more than 25 years of age, and they're coming to drive heavy machinery, just harvesting in crops, and so it's hard to find H2As in the area. But we have a list, or we're working at this moment, on a list of low-income apartment complexes, trailer parks, places where we have identified migrant workers in the past and are close to the agribusinesses in urban areas. We work on websites like Indeed or Manta to show when a meat packing plant is hiring. So we start by locating the closest affordable housing and contact the manager, have a poster in the office with the QR code for the electronic referral tool so they can just easily send us the information over there. We bring some samples of educational services and books we have for the families, for the administration to know that we work alongside with the school district. And pretty much we work that way on the situation with the mapping apartment complexes, mapping Section 8 apartments, mapping housing at the housing authority offices to contact them, because 93% of our population or migrant families has been identified as temporary, and over there 80% or 82% of those 93% are working in meat packing plants. So pretty much, I'm not saying this is an urban population, but they live in specific areas where the apartment complex exists, where a trailer park exists. So we tailor and this mapping situation to be useful for our system. I hope you can listen me okay at this moment. The other point is the temp agencies, which is something we found out no less ago. The staffing service agencies or staffing companies are firms that contract with companies or agribusinesses in need of temporary, seasonal, or part-time workers. These companies or staffing companies handle the hiring and the placement of workers for the time stipulated in the contract. I mean, those all the contracts are temporary if they work in a staffing company. But the deal is the staffing company get a commission for each employee is sending to the agency. So for instance, at this moment, Research in Topeka is hiring through the staffing company employees because it was hard for them to hire people. So those contracts are pretty much the time frame statement from by the employee, the stating that this contract will remain no more than 3 or 4 months when it's the contract established. So it's easy to identify and recruit the families, and we don't need much the time frame statement from the employer, even though we ask because it's more solid if they tell us. But the time frame in the statement is already complete by the contract.
Okay, thank you. So we talk a lot about farms and finding the farms and finding the migratory agricultural worker. But one of the other things that we need to be prepared for is that when we go out into the field, we are going to be faced with a lot of questions and a lot of need. And one of your goals to be an effective recruiter is to have people searching you out. I mean, you're a recruiter, you're supposed to go out in the field and find eligible migratory children, but it is also helpful if they're looking for you. And the reason that they're going to look for you is if they see some value in interacting with you. And you also are trying to build your status in the community that you're recruiting in. So you want to have something available for everybody, not just the people that qualify for the migrant education program. So we also want to take the time to research what types of agencies could support our families. So what type of resources are out there for our families when we meet them. As a migrant education program, our focus is education, but we also have to provide for support and basic needs. And we don't have direct funding for some of that stuff. And these agencies are very, very important. They're not going to be successful without us, and we're certainly not going to be successful without them. So again, taking the time to research where health and dental clinics may be. Those sometimes are free or sometimes migrant specific, but a lot of times they're community clinics that are free or on a sliding scale. There's a huge variety of support agencies that are out there. In Michigan, we have a very heavily Hispanic population that does agricultural work. So we're looking really at Hispanic centers. There are agencies that work with the same population like Migrant Head Start that are focused specifically on the migratory population. We have a good number of workers that come in from other countries or first generation and still could take advantage of services at our consulate. So we take time to make sure that we build a relationship for them, know where the consulate is for the different types of groups that are in our state. The contact information for them, what things that they offer at certain times of the year. We try to arrange for mobile consulates, or at least know the schedule if we're not going to host that, which means the consulate is going to bring their staff out into the field and be closer to the workers. Sometimes the consulate's not even in your state, so those are very important. For example, we have a good number of Guatemalan workers that come to Michigan. That consulate's in Chicago, which is a great distance, 10, 12 hours away from some parts of our state. And it's not feasible for workers to get there. So the consulate comes to the center of our state, and then we're able to coordinate with those programs. And those make for great recruiting events as well. Religious organizations and legal organizations are out there. Religious organizations do a lot of outreach. They have a very good amount of trust with the community. They provide a lot of donations and things that you can use and take with you when you're recruiting. And they hold a lot of events where you can actually do recruiting. So working in conjunction with them and setting those events up throughout the year is an extremely good use of your time before the recruiting season starts. And the legal organizations are also very important. Right now, we were off of DACA, and now DACA is back on, and there's a lot of questions, and none of us, or probably the vast majority of us, are not lawyers, and probably don't need to be giving legal advice, but having those resources where we could refer to people that have very impactful questions on their lives, you want to be able to direct them into a place where they can get help. Our groups here provide calendars that show people's rights, and it's another thing that we have to collect to give away when we're out doing recruitment in the field. And then basic needs, food, clothing. Someone mentioned McKinney-Vento and making sure people have housing and accommodations, toiletries and pillows, a very personal item that you want to have. Being able to provide for some of those things through donations. Blankets here up in the northern states or even central the country where it gets really cold at night. People don't expect that weather. Blankets are probably one of the number one things that people request. So we carry that with us all year round, even in the summer, because some of our northern farms, it gets still really cold at night. There's a big difference between day and nighttime temperature. And those blankets are high demand items. But Alejandro showed something to me, and I'd like to I'll let him share that is absolutely amazing that they have in Kansas. So go ahead, Alejandro.
Yeah, first, before that, I'm gonna just point it out the Pixie's comment about partnered with other titles in these support agencies, and she mentioned the title for McKinney-Vento, what we call the homeless program. This is one of the perfect examples on how to work together, because most of the agricultural families may need that kind of support, and they can identify. And also sometimes with the McKinney-Vento, when I was working on the Kansas City, Kansas school district as a migrant database, we cross information, and we find out that some migrant families also get benefits from the McKinney-Vento, and vice versa. Some McKinney-Vento families qualify by previous jobs on the field. So tidal forest is one of the best ways to connect and provide services together. Besides, it's not a duplication of services because you coordinate with the same school district. That's perfect, Pixie. Thank you very much. On my stand, the 1-800-CHILDREN-KC.org. I wish all the state has this tool. It's basically a nonprofit organization that works with this website and pretty much has all the information we need for services on the children's 0 to 18 years of age, divided by the zip code. So you can have a specific zip code when you're working. 66025 is Eudora, Kansas, where my office is. And you can just go over there and you can just have the information and this resources the family needs by having just this website and a QR code in the back of your badge. So when you meet the family, even if they qualify or not, you just go over there and they say, you know what, I'm looking for a food pantry close to my home. You go to the food section, look at the food pantries, and it's a pop-up list of all the food pantries close to the zip code. It's awesome. You don't need to have a huge welcome package material that in a couple of weeks they're going to be in the trash, or the kids doing paper airplanes, and you're going to lose all the information. Everything is over there. They can have the link, or you can have the information and whether print it to them, give it to them in a paper, or send them by email if they have an email. Or sometimes the older siblings has access to the technology, but everything is over there in no time. And the main thing is, if you find a service or a community agency that is not listed, you have the chance to add it and send the referral for them to evaluate and add the service. So it's pretty much a way to work all together, getting all the information and all the services for the families. You can call the 1-800, or you can just go over there with this QR code and get all the information in no time. It's up to us. It's a perfect tool, and I hope everybody has it on their states.
Let me get back in here for you, Alejandro. There you go. Sorry. Go ahead, Alejandro.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm trying to organize because I'm having some technical problems with my earphone. So basically, on these slides, we want to talk about how to do a recruitment plan or an action plan that is effective. As we all know, the action plan is a writing plan that an individual, in this case, the recruiters or organization, it could be the state agency or the local agency or the service center, develop the guide to focus efforts to reach a specific goal. Every action plan should have at least a goal, which is what you want to accomplish. I have a friend of mine, Kevin Hartman. He was the goalkeeper over here in Kansas. He moved to LA Galaxy now. He's one of the nice guys I know. And since he was a goalie, I invite him to talk about goals with the After School Migrant Soccer Academy. So he was saying a goal without a timeline is just a dream. So, and after that, he was pretty much coaching the kids and how to have goals in their lives. Pretty much I'm doing the same with the recruiters. I mean, if you don't have a goal, it's hard to produce, to be productive. And a goal is compressed with a set of objectives. Objectives those are kind of baby steps or steps you must take in order to reach the final goal. And if you think on those baby steps, objectives, on the acronym SMART, I think everybody know about the SMART, which means specific, detailed on what the recruiter will do and how they're going to achieve it. Realistic, because each objective must be possible given recruiters' resources. If we are in a pandemic situation, we are not going to expect for you to do 20 home visits a week. It should be time specific. It should have deadlines for achieving each stage so we can just see if we are going toward the goal. Should be small enough to handle, but large enough for us to show results. And at the end, it should be measurable. I mean, results need to have some kind of a way to have a measure. The outcome should be what the recruiter wants to achieve. And the most important, the recruitment plan should be aligned with the state IDNR plan. We have some situations that we are trying in a plan, trying to work with the Farms Bureau, the Kansas Farm Bureau, and one of the recruiters was contacting the union. And so the Farm Bureau say, okay, man, I mean, what's going on? Because you already contacted the union and we are having some issues with them. So if we don't know who is working on the different sections, we can create some conflict, and besides, it doesn't look professional. So basically, if we have a plan, the plan should be aligned with another plan, and the other plan should be aligned with the state plan, and so on. So we can have a huge network and achieve a specific goal. So for instance, now on our team, I just told a couple of minutes ago, we are organizing a sweep in the Southeast area, from Coffeyville area to Arc City, which is a lot of businesses and school districts. The goal is divided in 3 teams, and we started the goal in on the sweep on March 22nd. And we need to understand that when we have a sweep, the trip is part of the sweep, but it's not the sweep. The sweep starts when you start organizing, and I'm taking 1 month to organize the sweep. So we divide the outreach in 6 categories: school districts, private schools with the title 1, because we realized most of the meat packing plants workers, since the school was closed, they were just moving the kids to private schools, like a Catholic schools or regular schools. They have a Title 1, so they are affordable and they have scholarships. So we can find a lot of kids on those private schools, Head Starts and daycares. We have another row of agribusinesses and H2A orders, community agencies, and we divide those 6 outcomes on the 6 people who will be in the sweep. So we all are collecting data and contacting those community agencies, schools, and daycares from now until April 16. On Friday, we're gonna meet together, see what we got. We are just tracking all the information, and over there, just decide the action plan for the sweep and divide the teams and start seeing who answer, who needs some kind of pushing, who school district I need to call to get those leads, and so on. So if we don't have a plan, if we don't have an organization, if we don't have a deadlines and we don't have a goal to achieve, it's hard to go out to make a sweep. The sweep is not just a trip, go there and go around the city, spending mileage and gas and see if we have luck to make a COE. It should be a plan, it should be organized, and we need to know exactly where we are going with the car when you take the car and we just go to visit the school, and what exactly we're gonna offer. If we have the tablets, if we have the poster with the QR code for the electronic referral tool, if we're gonna have a list of leads, if we're gonna have a list of expired families or soon to expire families to see they requalify. Everything should be on the plan before getting the action. And at the end of the sweep, we're gonna have on May 1st, we combine everything to do the health fair near one of the biggest meat packing plants in the area. So we're gonna be presenting and receiving families that come into the health fair. So the main thing is, if the plan is not organized, they don't have a goal, and they don't have an organization, you're not going to have much success. Bruce?
Yep, I'm sorry. I had to mute there because my dog started going nuts, of course.
It's the first time we present together, so I'm sorry. I mean, we need to... We need more coordination.
So the next thing I want to talk about is a little bit about mapping, and we could do a whole presentation around mapping. But the basics are, we've gathered all this data from our agencies and our housing and our processing facilities, our temp agencies, all this other stuff. We want to put that in a usable format that's going to help us visualize where everything is, so that as we're making our action plans And as we're preparing to go out and actually get into the field, which is the very next thing, I promise we're getting there. We want to have that data visualized, and we want to be able to access it too as we're out there and if we need it. So when you're mapping stuff, when you're collecting all this data, spread out, keep the data generally in Excel is the best format to keep it. Separate your data fields so that you have your address, like the street address, the street number, street, city, zip, state, all that stuff in separate columns. As you go across the row, you can include information that you want to have available. Maybe it's information on who's eligible for a certain program or their hours, contact information, notes about those organizations that you either kept, that you're going to obtain as you go out and visit them, or from prior visits or prior information that you have, but useful information that you might want to have on hand at the time. So in the event of a health clinic, like, hey, what are their requirements? Do they have an income cap? Do they require you to bring certain things in? Is it only for uninsured? And what hours do they have, right? So what languages do they speak there? So a lot of you that are in states like Kansas that have a lot of processing and have people from tons and tons of different languages, where where are the clinics that can to help the people and can provide some translation for that. Keep that map up to date, keep that spreadsheet up to date, and keep refreshing that map with that information so that you know. There are a couple different platforms, Google being the free one and obviously the most well-known. IDRC members, if you are part of the IRC, Batch Geo is available to you, and some data has been provided to you in that as well. One thing I'll tell you, just some tips as you start to get into that, if you haven't already, make sure you check all your points. Once you map things out, spread it out or zoom out really far to see if any points are outside of the area that you expect them, or even in another country, because all of these programs have do make some mistakes when they map things out, or if they can't find a point, they might put it at an intersection near where they think that you're trying to get to, or at a city center in the city that you were that you had listed for that point, if it can't find the address. So, and those could be miles off, and you don't want to end up wasting your time chasing a point that isn't really there. You can use the satellite view to do that and zoom in. That does one or two things. It confirms that you're actually looking at a farm. When you're looking at farms, you see silos and fields and pens and barns and all that kind of stuff. The other thing that it can do for you is help you find hidden structures. So a lot of us that have seasonal farm work in our state, we'll go out to a farm and we know that there's workers there, but we don't know where they live. And a lot of times they're living on the farm, and sometimes that housing is hidden. It's deep in the farm, it's in the woods, it's got to go around the second barn to the left and go back a quarter mile, and something you wouldn't really see from the street or from the entrance to the business. So that helps you look at that too. You can save that information to your phone. You can access it. You can actually download and save some of the maps, certainly the base map, to help you navigate when you don't have signal. And that is a very, very useful tool for when you get out there. So that is something I would take some time to investigate and to learn how to use, because it's going to make you a more efficient recruiter. So that takes us into the field. So we've done all of this research. We've got all this information. We've started to plan things out. And so now we have to actually start the process of recruitment. So Alejandro?
Yes. I was just reading Debbie say, I love how you describe around the second barn to get to a bunk. Well, I mean, just make sure that when you are describing that, don't put a realistic benchmarks, and not just the besides the animal in the corner, because the animal will move. So basically, we have some kind of sometimes some kind of marks when we are doing the COA. You know, the non-regular guidance forces, if we don't have the address, to have some kind of marks. And one say on the corner of the soybean end of the soybean field, and they're switching the crop. So I mean, you don't know where the soybeans are. So basically, on this slide, we're going to talk about, again, because I have a kind of obsession with the action plan, at least here in the States. The action plan, we need to understand, is created to improve recruitment time. That's the basic concept, is to improve the recruitment plan. It's not to micromanage the employee. So if we understand that and we stick to the plan as much as possible, we will achieve the goal. But there are different kind of goals. I mean, you need to understand as well that this is short-term goals, long-term goals. There's a little objective, which is little goals. So the only thing is common in each of those different kind of goals is that always you be present a component, the login, the data. So we need to repeat that the data is everything. What is not in the logs does not exist to the program. So I know it's a waste of time. I know it's frustrating. I know that we are field guys and we like to we spend more time providing services and looking for new families, contacting families. But if we don't log everything, first, we are not going to have, we can demonstrate the recruitment efforts, but also we're going to repeat something we already did, because the other recruiters don't know if we already passed to this location or not, if we don't have any information about the specific farm. So logging data is a little goal into any other goal. So this is an important, and I know it's frustrating, I know it's boring, I know it's having the option to do the logs in the cell phone is making us even more easy. Back in the days, we should come to the house and before closing everything, just send an email with all the stuff we made and all this logs and everything. Now we can do it as soon as we leave the contact. So in this case, in talking about the logs could be objective or subjective. And this is a main concept to understand why sometimes logs are better than others. I mean, when we talk about objective logs, means that those logs or this information is not influenced by our personal feelings, by our personal opinions or considerations about the facts. So we log visits, say, I visit this address. We log contacts, I contact this person, agribusinesses, community. This is a log, it's an objective log, it exists, I did it. But having an accurate log, meaning that if you have the possibility to add something to the log for us to identify and get a graduation of those efforts, it will be perfect. So based on the subjective log is when it's based or is influenced by our personal feelings, our taste, our opinions, what we smell on what's going on. I mean, something that's a little bit more, the extra mile we need in order for us to be accurate and excel as a recruiters. So it could be a difference. For instance, you visit a meat packing plant and the lady on the front desk say, you know what, we don't have qualified workers at the same, at this moment. It's always 3 guys working in the back. They have more than 10 years working in the business. And that's it. You just get the information. Okay, thank you very much. You log, there's no qualified workers. I talked with, I don't know, Lydia Carrizo, who is the secretary, and she told me there is no qualified workers. And you go down, you just go to the parking lot, take your car to do the log, and you can see there's like maybe 8 big semis, 51 feet, loading and unloading products. So technically, the log you made is correct, but it's not accurate. So you can have an information on the log saying the lady told me that, but do the traffic and on the cars on the parking lot, it looks there's more than 3 people. So it means when we collect the data, we change the graduation of this meatpacking plant from 3. I mean, we call 3 the ones that is almost impossible to do a COE. So we just visit once a year, to the level 2, means it could be something, even though the meatpacking plant is not at this moment is not really comfortable in sharing information. This little thing, this subjective component of the log made the whole difference. And sometimes on it happens this year on Topeka about moving from they lost the project because they have like a 15. They used to have 100. They moved back to the 15. They lost the project. We switched recruiters. And the first semester, the new recruiter met 60 kids in 3 months, just because she was logging exactly what she was seeing, not what the people was telling her. So this is important when we are talking about the logging the data. And I'm sorry, Bruce, I get over the time because I'm so excited about this situation. I'm sorry.
So no problem. And so as we're following an action plan and adjusting it based on what's happening in the field, or taking notes on what we might want to change in the future, what worked and what didn't work, we also want to use what I refer to as cluster recruitment. So the idea behind this is that you are probably more efficient if you work longer days but take less trips. So if I have to drive 2 hours to get to a farm because I know that I got a referral there, I don't want to just go there, get my referral done, get my CUE and go back. That's a great thing to do, but I want to take advantage of that because that's 4 hours worth of my time and all the mileage that goes around with that if you're using if you're getting paid miles to do it. So we want to maximize that trip. So instead of spending an hour there and doing 4 hours worth of driving, let's do 6 or 8 hours there, or spend an overnight there, because a hotel room is probably cheaper than the hours and mileage that would take to get there and back a second time. So when we are there, we want to look at, if I have to go to a certain place, what other places are on the way that I want to visit? And what other places are there that I'm trying to develop rapport, make a contact with? So if it's a clinic, or if it's a food bank, or it's even a community member, sometimes it's just somebody that you ran across while you were having lunch in a certain place when you're recruiting, and they ask you what you did, and all of a sudden you strike up a conversation, and then they're telling you the history of all the agriculture for the last 4 generations in that area. That could be just a person that's sitting there at the lunchroom. It could be the UPS guy that drives around all the farms all day and knows where all the agricultural workers live. It could be anybody. So we want to go out and make those contacts and put a face to your program, a face to your communications whenever possible. We often get out to that referral and then they say, I'm working, can you come back in 3 hours? So you want to have a backup plan, some secondary sites where you can visit during that time. That if you're a recruiter, you know that's happened to you tons and tons of times, where you get there even having an appointment and they say, no, I need 2 more hours. So I like to categorize all of these places, especially our farms, using a color code, just like a stoplight. A red would be somewhere I don't want to visit again. I don't ever want to spend my time and mileage to go to this place again, because there's absolutely no chance of finding somebody there. The farm is closed. It's a small family farm, and it always has been. They don't hire people ever. There's a variety of reasons that might be. So I mark those red, stop. Yellow would be somewhere that I want to visit and keep checking on, but not very frequently, because there's a low probability of finding people there. And so I want to go there at least once a year to see if things are changing, maybe twice a year, and you can kind of determine what that is. So, be cautious not to let it slide, but it's not somewhere that you're really going after. Whereas green is somewhere I want to always visit. Anytime I'm in the area, I want to stop, I want to frequent that location. And as you color code these things and you look at a map, and I look at where I'm at, and if I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Detroit, Michigan, I can see all the farms around me. So if I got 3 hours to go, or some time to spend, I can work in my inner circle outwards and visit some of those locations. And I can look at the notes that are in there that I put in my log to see if there's somebody there that I need to speak to or build some more relationship with. And when you are out there planning your activities and all that map, and you're actually doing it, you're actually executing that plan. I'm going to visit these 10 farms. If they're in a 30-mile radius, you don't want to go from the left side to the right side, up and down, and zip back and cross that 30 miles. You could do it. You could go from one side to the other, top to bottom or whatever, and hit those farms in an order, in a route that's much more efficient. And you could turn visiting 10 farms into a few hours, or it could take you 2 days, depending on how you route your visit. So that's what we mean when we talk about cluster recruiting. So Alejandro?
Yes, this is a question for you. I think both of us, but I think it's important to answer. We say, where do you put all this list and research? What program do you use to compile or keep on the information? So that's a nice question, a great question, based on the FERPA regulations and how to protect our students' information and don't add it into the map. So basically, what we are using is we are mapping, but we have a code to identify pretty much the businesses, the community agencies, the all the information, even the school district, the boundaries on each school district to know. It's hard sometimes when you're in the field if in which school district you are, because some of us whites, they don't know. So we have in the map exactly the boundaries of the school district. But the most important thing is you can choose whatever tool you want. You can use any Google Map. You can use Bad Geo. You can have different tools and spreadsheets. But the main important thing is to follow FERPA procedures and protect all the personal identifier information, the PIIs. I mean, the basic information from the family and the student, the name, the mother's maiden name, the home address, the date of birth, the place of birth, the social security, of course, the name of the parents, the I-94 information if they are refugees or immigrants, the fingerprints if something happened. But those PII information should not be on the map. It should not be shared, and on the map is confidential and protected information. So be careful with that. Other than that, you can just add on the map all the other information, and even add notes on the Google Map allow you to add notes and comments. So when you just pop with the mouse, it will pop up with all the information you already did. Okay. Let's talk about the field recruitment, the elevator speech. So, to be honest, I talk too much, so I'm gonna be short and sweet, like me. But this in these slides, we talk about time management, and let's think about a situation that happens most of the time. Let's think that we are 5 p.m. Wednesday. You knock the door at the family's house. The guy opened the door. He's still with the clothes, the work clothes on. You can see he's tired. Start of being in the production line. I don't know, cutting beef. Let's see, perhaps 9-10 hours, and after that, sometimes they spend one more hour cleaning the floor, because it's rotation duty to once a week. They have to stay and clean everything, and most of the meat packing plants, meat packing plants. So at the end of the day, when you meet them, you feel like you are the door seller, that you just knock the door with a vacuum, try to sell the vacuum to the family, and because what you are doing is just to present the program that you receive the lead, and basically, quotation marks, sell the migrant program, meaning the Title I Part C, as we all know, is volunteer. So even if they qualify, we need to make them allow us to provide the services to participate. They need to sign up the COE. On that situation, on this picture in the back of the house, you can see on the kitchen, the mom is cooking dinner with one hand and taking care of the other kid is jumping around. There's another of the siblings watching you on the back of the door because they're just interested in who's going to be over there. It's another one on the TV. They're all waiting for that because they want to tell the dad what's happened to school that day. So at this moment, I don't know if it happened to you, but sometimes you feel like you're the orthopedic member of the house, that you don't belong there, that you are just feeling them uncomfortable. So what you do on the situations? I mean, to be honest and straight to the point, the lead, one lead is a lead. As an interview, our interview is the target. Even if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you don't have any signs that you should leave, you need to go to the list until you get the information to whether the family qualify or not. So rescheduling it should be the last option, because you already find the family, and the families are very, very hard to find. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not. Sometimes when you visit them, they are there at the Walmart getting groceries, or sometimes they move and without notice. Our families are highly moved, so we can afford 2 hours trip to revisit the same family over and over again. And unfortunately, that happens. Besides all our personal situation, is a main thing. The important thing is the delay in qualifying the family is a delay in the services for the students, and those kids, they really need the services. So we empathize with the family, and the way we empathize with the family is by respecting and honoring their time. So our visit as a recruiter should be short, clear, straight to the point. I mean, in less than 10 minutes, you should know if the family qualify or not. And if they know, I mean, if it's not, if they know other family that might qualify for the program. So for this situation, we have like a little ESSA checklist aligned to the national COE section by section. So we coach and teach not just the recruiters, but the local recruiters, I mean the recruiters that we have in each school district, and the advocates, to follow those questions step by step. So if the first step is a negative, so they will not qualify. If the positive and the second one is negative, so we just shut down the interview because it's not going to qualify, and so on. When we find the last question, we not just have the answer that they will qualify, but also all the information for us to have a perfect COE if we collect the notes. In this case, conversation, they take maybe 35 minutes. It reduces to 5 minutes. If you go straight to the point and make some clarifications, maybe 7 minutes. So the main thing is, when we're talking about time management, we need to talk about our time management, but also the time for the interviewer, because a happy family is a new lead. There's more families that may qualify. If you go to the family and spend 45 minutes, 1 hour talking about, I don't know, the weather, the soccer in the country, or at the end of the visit, the same family will call the co-workers or relatives and say, so please don't open the door, because those guys, they're going to stay forever. So try to go straight to the point, respect our time, use the time management in the way that not just respect our time, but also the interviewer, the time. And talking about time management, another little thing that maybe you can realize, but when we just move from one side to the other side of the fence, when you're a recruiter, you see the stuff from one side. When you come as an administrator, you see the other side. Most of the time, we get frustrated when the COE is rejected as a recruiters. And you say, like, man, I mean, for that's little thing, Gonzalez with Z, with S, whatever. I mean, just fix yourself and go there. I mean, it's not a big deal. The COE must be submitted as soon as possible. That's true, but it's not an emergency. So this when the submit the COE before, you have to check really think by yourself, and it's possible by a colleague. So the quality control process takes sometimes more than 3-4 days to authorize and approve or reject the COE. If there is a misspelling, grammatical errors, is a missing mandatory notes, the comments, after the 3 days, the COE will be rejected again, and come back to the recruiter in another 3 days in order to be authorized. If it's still rejected, the family will lose 9 days of quality services. The kids are in desperate need to pretty much to bridge the gap with the other classmates. So when you are talking about time management and you have the COE, time management also means take a breath, open the computer with a little coffee or tea, and check all the information of the COE before submitting, because spending 5 minutes in this moment will save us 3 days and a lot of money on people involved in the COE for them to be approved. So it's this a little thing I think is kind of obvious, but it's good to know that time management is also how do you organize the way you submit the COEs, so you're going to avoid all those innocent mistakes that reduce the time of services for the family. So make sure that the COE is understandable, that the comments make sense. The COE should be like a little short story about the qualification of the worker and the family's move. So think on this document as an history. So when you can read it, just put on the position of the reviewer and see if they can understand what you're saying. I mean, some comments doesn't make sense, and so we need to reject it for them to explain a little bit. And there's 3 more days for the families to reduce the service time. And the advocate is waiting for this COE to provide services. And sometimes you already have the schedule. You create a time management problem for the whole team when you just don't take the 5 minutes before submitting the COE to recheck everything. I think it's something that happened to all of us, not just as a recruiter. When I was recruited, and Jenny knows really well, I have a lot of COEs having rejected, and I get frustrated as well. But on this time, I understand what is important and how affect the time management for the whole team, not just for you, for the director, for the IDRC coordinator, for the reviewers, and how the time will be wisely used if we organize and submit the COEs more accurately.
Okay, so running a little bit out of time here, so we're going to just be real short here. You can read some of the places that we talk about when we're talking about maintaining a career network. But when you're in the field, maintaining and building your network is very important. You've done a lot of research ahead of time, and you've put things on your map, but you have to have some sort of connection. So stopping in and putting your flyers and the QR codes and the idrreferrals.net link and flyers up, the brochures, all of that stuff should be doing. Something you should be doing while you're going out to visit the farms, hitting those areas where you're already going to be at, and just putting out all your materials and making all your connections. Should be talking to your crew leaders, and really, somebody asked earlier in the chat about how much time should be spending during the office versus outside. When you're in the office or when you're driving in your car, those are great times to be calling out some of your prior families or your crew leaders to let them know that you appreciate them, how their referrals have helped you, how good, especially if you have a release and you can share a story about them. Contacting the HEP and CAMP program and all the advocacy agencies, letting them know about your program, reminding them that you're out there, providing them referrals if you can. The best way to get referrals is to give referrals. Talking to the school staff and making sure those folks are there, especially those secretaries that are so important in registering our families, making sure that they know about you and are alerting you when families are in there. Get with your extension office. There's a national listing of all the land-grant universities that have extension offices for each state, and contact them. They have great rapport with the growers, and they can be of use to you not only in collecting data, but also building your network and developing some rapport with the grower. So when you're out there, and again, those community contacts, I can't tell you how important it is. There's that nosy person in every town that knows everybody's business. You want that person to know you, and you want to know that person because they can tell you when somebody comes and somebody goes. And their motives for talking to you are not really as important as the fact that you're getting information anywhere. You can continue to get information while you're out there and continue to build those contacts. But you're going to get out in the field, and then you're going to get those COEs, and you're going to make those visits. And then what happens after that? One of the things that is nice to do if you have the ability to do is do a newsletter. And if you have email addresses and for all those folks, do a little electronic newsletter, get a release from one of your families and highlight a story of a kid that's had a major change in their life, a great success, because that motivates other people to work with you. Those stories are also very good to share when you're talking to families and trying to convince them to sign up for the MEP. So taking the time to collect some of those things and share that information where we're allowable with the proper releases and all that stuff is very good. By far, one of the greatest things that you could do as a use of your time is calling your existing families. I know a lot of you have a migrant liaison or a family liaison or some role like that. You have a service provider operation, a recruitment operation are separate in some of the states. But at the end of the day, it was you that popped up at their house, and it was you that convinced them to sign up for the migrant education program. And you should follow up with them because you want them to call you next time you're there. You want them to share your information with other families because you're such a great resource and you know so much about the community that you're working in. You connected them to all those different things, and you took the time to call them once a month to see how things are going and show them that you care about them. And see how things are going with the program so you can give that feedback to your service providers. Ask them if they have any needs. Ask them if where they're going and when how long they're planning on staying, so that if I know that they're going over here and they're going to go visit one of you folks in your state, now I know who you are. I have that connection. I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to send an M6 notice. I'm going to make sure that family gets well connected wherever they go, so that when they come back to my state, they're going to be looking for me because we did them a solid. We made their life better. If you really truly get in a position where you really don't know what to do, you feel like you got all your research done, which is it's never really always done, and you've made all those calls and you have nothing to do, there's always professional development. Congratulations, everybody, because you're doing that right now. As someone says, is it risky to be driving and talking on the phone? You follow your regulations of your district and your state when it comes to that. I can tell to call Alejandro and my phone will dial it and I got my headset on, but certainly we don't do anything that would be risky. But professional development, congratulations, you are all doing that right now. You're in a webinar and you're in a conference and hopefully you're learning some stuff here today and at the other presentations that you're going to be going to or have been. You can read the non-regulatory guidance, the Bible of how we should be doing recruitment and making eligibility decisions. Go in there and read that once a year. I tell you, it's a long read. Chapter 2 is the most important section to read. You don't have to read all the stuff for your state administrators, but chapter 2 specifically, and it'll always give you an idea. The experiences that you have this year will help reshape how you see the information in the non-regulatory guidance. Every time you read, I promise you, you'll find something different in there that is of use to you or gives you an idea of where to look or some other strategy. I don't know, Alejandro, why don't you finish us out and tell me some of the things that you would also suggest?
Basically, I was just copying the emails on the chat to send all the information. In contacting, I have Susana Valladares, I have Veronica Rodriguez. I'm trying to copy all the emails to send the information. The main important or the most important thing is we are not the experts on the time management. We are just sharing our information. There's a lot of stuff to talk about the time management. It's a lot of tools and things to talk about time management, and that's for sure. And everybody has their own way to manage the time. The main thing I want to just share to close is the good time management enables you to work smarter, not harder, so you can you can do more in less time, even when the time is tight and the pressure is high. So when we talk about time management, we need to think that the good things, the positive things on having a good time management is that you build a better or more professional reputation because you deliver. You reduce the levels of stress because you can prevent what's going on because you already have a plan set it in a time to work on a specific situation that's going to happen. You're gonna see that you're gonna increase the opportunities for recruitment when you have all planned and all organized. You're gonna have more opportunities to do recruitment, and also opportunities or better ways to achieve the goals and the recruitment plan. And the opposite, if you have a poor time management skills, you're gonna miss deadlines. You're gonna be inefficient in the workflow and on your recruitment plan. The quality of your work is gonna be poor. The reputation obviously is gonna go down because you don't deliver and you deliver in the wrong time. So, or when the situation is already solved by some other agencies. And with this will increase the level of stress. And in the way, if you just jump the fence, if we talk about ourselves, our job is already stressful. We need to be in the field all the time. We need to deal with situations that change permanently. We are visiting low-income areas with, we don't know if there's going to be crime, if it's going to be some other issues. We have a lot of situations at the houses that we just face day by day, not just about the COVID, but also about another personal situations of the family. So we already have a level of stress that's a little bit risky. Don't increase those level of stress by having this time management situations. It will affect you, but it's going to affect the whole team. They will try to help you, and they will change their own time management to help you, the times to help you. So it will create a big mess just because we need to organize our lives in a way that is effective. And one thing that I've learned when on one of my jobs in the back, and actually it's one of my co-workers at that time as in the house, is Feliciano Marin. He used to work with us on dealing with kids with several emotional disturbances. So we learn over there the habit. It takes sometimes four weeks to achieve a habit. But when you have the habit, it's hard to leave. So when you have the habit to organize your times, you're going to have this habit for the rest of your life, not just for the work, for everything. And time management can have a great opportunity to improve, not just in your career, but also in your life. I'm telling you, I'm talking too much.
Okay, well, our presentation here is ended. We've put our contact information up on the screen. Thank you all for joining today. We've been trying to answer the questions as we go. Make sure that we're sharing your ideas with everybody else. As I put in the chat, we're a migrant family. We're all in this together to help make the lives of our migratory youth better. So thank you very much. And we hope to see you soon in the next presentation.
You're left.